Hello, everybody. It is so good to be live. And I got to tell you, we're trying something a little bit different tonight. I'm trying to do YouTube and StreamYard at the same time. So my producer's watching this to make sure we can. And I hope I didn't make my Substack people sad. So hopefully it is up and it's running. And I'm sure he's going to tell me in a minute because I had a pretty special show outlined tonight. I wanted to link the Satanic Panic to the Epstein files. And I like to do that with crazy stories, nutty stories. So as you guys know, I'm old, right? I'm 55 years old, born in 1970. So I got to feel and experience the very essence of the Satanic Panic. And I want to tell you a couple of stories. So first, the first story was really interesting. We had a new kid come to school. I think his name was Wayne or something like that. So I want you to imagine the colors and the smells and the sights and sounds of 1982, 1983. So at that point, if you remember some of my stories, if you watch some of my Substack lives or some of my other things that we're talking about, here's what I want to tell you. 82 to 83, this guy here had already read all kinds of crazy books. Now, in first grade, I read 316 books and won this national competition where I got this plane ride. So I read Conan the Destroyer, Conan the Freebooter, just Conan, but I also read books like Walter Farley, the Black Stallion books, Jim Kjelgaard about the Irish setters and dogs. So I had this very eclectic reading list of crazy, risque, horror fantasy, because I also like Stephen King. By the age of 13 to 14, 82, 83, 84, when Stephen King was coming out, I was already reading. I was already reading Carrie or Salem's Lot. I'm already getting into it, right? I think I read 20 or 30 of Stephen King's books up through 1995 to 2000 when I was getting a little bit older. So I had this incredible imagination. And also I'd had my Bigfoot run-ins with my grandfather who thought he saw Bigfoot. I had times where we thought we saw UFOs. I had the red light chase me through the woods. So I already was pretty credulous, I already thought that there was some crazy stuff happening. So anyhow, this kid Wayne, he comes there, and I used to like to tell these stories even when I was 12 or 13, you can imagine. I remember Wayne goes, "Well, we're here because we had to run. My mother said we had to move because we were being chased by evil people." So I get this incredible story about this old house in the woods that they lived in. And I remember even as a kid, I remember this story so vividly because Wayne was a pretty good storyteller too. And it had white paint. He said it was crumbling. They were renting it, had a sagging porch, one of those farmhouses that might look haunted. They lived on a dirt road and single mom, just him and Wayne, her and Wayne. Wouldn't be a him if it's a single mom. So her and Wayne. So they move to Stonewall Jackson Middle School, Manassas, Virginia. And they said they were moving from somewhere in Shenandoah. So he tells me this story that the reason they're moving is that every night people with torches, right, with fire would come to their house and chant. His mom was absolutely convinced that they were satanic worshipers that were coming to take little Wayne, abscond with him into the woods, and that's why that they had to leave, and that she was being chased. Now, Wayne could have been an inveterate liar at 12 to 13, possible. But you can tell at that age, kids, if you're lying like that quick, that's pretty nuts. But you know who believed it? This guy, right? Why not? I've been chased by a red light. My grandfather had run away from something in the woods and told me to run. Heck, my stepdad and mom during Halloween, they would always say that the Satanists would put razor blades in my candy. So I had all of this happening, right? All this happening. I was raised religious, spiritual warfare. Satan could take me over at any time. And even as a teenager, I did have some of my family relatives say the girl I was dating made me possessed by Satan. I'm married to her now. So those are all the things that you have going on in my life. So as I get a little bit older, I start to recognize that maybe the Satanic Panic might have been overblown. But you know what really got me hooked on the Satanic Panic? The movie Cobra with Detective Cobretti and Sly Stallone. So everybody here who's Gen X, late millennial, you know about Sly Stallone, Sylvester Stallone's movie Cobra, where Brigitte Nielsen, his love interest in the movie and in real life, is being chased by a bunch of Satanists. So here we are, late 80s. Now we have things coming out about the Satanic Panic. Do you guys remember the book Michelle Remembers? Where the guy she had an affair with and married wrote a book where her parents and some of her relatives would actually put her up for sexual abuse for satanic worshiping one time for 81 days straight. Crazy. Church of Satan. But guess what? They had to change because the Church of Satan threatened to sue them. So they changed it, said maybe it wasn't the Church of Satan. It was just a bunch of other Satanists because Anton LaVey's like, I don't remember that. I don't remember the Church of Satan doing that for all those years. That's the repressed memories, conspiracy theories, and repressed memories grift. That a lot of people back then in the 80s and 90s thought that they could go back in their repressed memories and they could actually find out about their abuse through satanic ritual and things like that. So you had all these things coming together, right? There was this other book, Remembering Satan. Yes. Where two kids said that their sheriff dad, right, did those same things to them. Completely false. So there was repressed memories. Oh, and back to Michelle Remembers, by the way. They made a lot of money on that. There's a lot of grift there. So you had all this thing happening. And the other thing I wanted to talk about was, oh, yes, the McMartin preschool case, where a bunch of kids said they had these memories or they went to psychologists about the teachers were abusing them through some kind of satanic ritual. So there you have it. Oh, and by the way, I just see in the comments, my wife's name is Christine. So that's one of my favorite Stephen King books. So all this is happening. All this is happening simultaneously. And then, right, you start to grow up. You start to get into the 1990s, the 2000s. But other things start to happen. And you guys know what happens, right? What does satanic panic turn into? Oh, my God, there's this new world order. Globalists. Yeah. Yeah, you guys remember all this, right? Now you're like, God, Dan, you're right, right? It's like this same package because you know where I'm going. You know where I'm going. So then you had the Tea Party movement. Tea Party movement goes nuts with conspiracy theories, right? About these massive underground child molestation rings. Whew, sort of sounds like satanic panic. Oh, also sounds like the protocols of the elders of Zion, right? If you go back into the 1915 to 1920 time period. So now you have the satanic panic bloom. Happened for years. Most of it was crap. There was movies about it, like I told you, with Cobra. There's books about it, like Michelle Remembers. There's my friend Wayne, who's pretty damn sure him and his mom were chased by people, right? Running through the woods with fire, running after him and chanting weird things and wearing masks. Yeah, well, people still believe that. And that's why people are so mad about the Epstein files. So you're like, well, my God, Dan, what do you mean? You know, it looks like it's just a straight up, this was a really bad person, right? Obviously, Epstein was a rapist, child molester, child trafficker, one of the worst human beings and scumbags on the earth. But what is the underlying conspiracy theory? That the deep state or globalists were running the ring. Now, when you're talking about deep state or globalists, who are we talking about? There's two groups that are really predominant here, right? There's Democrats and Jewish people. That's right. That's the deep state and the globalists. So why would the Epstein files or the Epstein list not being released make everybody so angry? Because they're still stuck in the panic days. They're still stuck in the same exact conspiracy theories. And what conspiracy theory is that, you ask? Why are the Epstein files making people so mad on the MAGA right? Because that's QAnon. Hashtag save our children. The storm, where we go one, we go all. QAnon was all based on this almost religious fervor that Democrats, the deep state and globalists, right, were behind this massive worldwide and global and child sex ring. And why would they have a child sex ring, folks? Adrenochrome. That's right. They were harvesting kids for adrenochrome. Right before they were killed or bad things happened to them, there would be an adrenaline spike in their bloodstream. They would withdraw the blood and make adrenochrome because then the Democrats, the globalists, and the Satanists, well, they would inject it into their arms, sort of like a fountain of youth. You know, that's why I think when I see this, you know, the Dan Bonginos or the Kash Patels or the Donald Trumps or everybody either defending this or saying it needs to be released, a lot of this is actually based on conspiratorial thinking, fantasy, and delusion, even though Epstein was an awful human being. Let me say that again. The real anger comes from the fact that the conspiracy theories, delusions, and weirdness about Democrats, globalists, and deep staters, right? The New World Order, right? Democrats and Jewish people, and those associated with them like rhinos and never Trumpers, were really part of the Epstein list. And that the people like Tom Hanks, Hollywood, movie actors, Joe Biden, his family, all Democrats, the Clintons, right? Everybody ever associated, the Obamas, everybody would be on the Epstein list, when in reality, is there an Epstein client list? First of all, you were told there was. We know that, you know, Maxwell's in jail, Ghislaine Maxwell. By the way, I'm sorry to tell this to Trump believers, man, Epstein was killed when Trump was in office. Like, Denver, how do you put all this together? My God, you got to be freaking brilliant, right? Satanic panic all the way to today. It's not brilliance. I lived it. You know, when you're raised the way that I was raised, right? To put on the armor of God, spiritual warfare, the fact that Satan can actually take over. I got a direct line to the supernatural. Things that are unexplainable are explainable. Things that aren't fact-based or in physics, they're from God. That credulity was actually beaten into me at a young age too, right? Belief in Bigfoot, UFOs, UFO abductions, razor blades, and Snickers bars. All of this is why there's so much insanity surrounding the Epstein files or list, whatever's out there. Goes without saying that conspiratorial thinking got Donald Trump into the presidency. Fact is, Pam Bondi said she had the Epstein list. If you look at a year ago, there was an actual interview with Donald Trump saying he would declassify and release it just a year ago. Oh, by the way, along with the 9/11 files, because, 9/11 was an inside job, right? Think about the insanity I'm talking about. You can trace everything that's happening today back into these recycled and remanufactured conspiracy theories, going back to the satanic panic and all the way back to the protocols of the elders of Zion when you talk about blood libel and the Jews. That's it. That's it. That's what I'm talking about here. And when I come on and say you have to be facts-based or reality-based, and the fact that I'm almost to a point of when I said I was taking crazy pills the other night, we have people that actually believe all of this crap. And the reason they're going to come after Trump, this is the one thing we got. This is what I want to tell everybody. We have the opportunity right now to pull the crazy apart. I didn't think we'd get an opportunity like this. Thought it might come. But every friend that you have, you can say now that maybe QAnon was right because it was Trump. No, it's a conspiracy theory. But if they're going to come at you with conspiracy theories, you rip them apart limb from limb intellectually. Well, how's that? He won't release the Epstein files. And he said last year he was going to. Actually, he ran on it. I thought Tom Hanks was in there. Yeah, and I thought Democrats, globalists, and deep state. I thought the New World Order was all encompassed. I thought George Soros and all his friends were on the Epstein list. Thought there were kids hanging from hooks, right? In Congress, in the bottom. Isn't that part of why people actually stormed the Capitol? We talk about the stolen election. You know why else? Because they thought there were kids buried in the catacombs under Congress. Did you guys know that? They were going to drag us out. That's what the storm was all about. Everything centered around this. And we look at from the satanic panic to now, what actually makes all this work? A couple things. There's the circle. There's religion, right? The people have gone so far over, right? Christian nationalists or religious nationalists, right? Doesn't really matter, Christian, Islam, Hindu, whatever, that goes so far over to the crazy side that they can't see fact or they can't see any type of reality, right? This is a religious war, spiritual warfare. The other is credulity. Listen, if you believe something as simple as, right, Bigfoot talks to you in his sleep, hovers over you and whispers to you in some ESP language, right? You're probably going to believe in the satanic panic and the Epstein files. And if you think you have a direct link to the supernatural, you might believe it also. What else? And I know this is sort of nuts. Money, right? When you look at the satanic panic, everybody wrote these books were looking for money. The people who were talking about repressed memories, and as you know, alien abduction repressed memories are sort of similar to the satanic panic repressed memories. By the way, thank you, Carl Sagan, made in that credible leap, right, of logic when he looked at the rationale of how these things actually happen, right? So now you have money and grifters that are actually taking advantage of all these people in a credulous way. And then you have the other thing, which is the gross part of it. It's the sex part. It actually engages, for some reason, the far right in a way that is really uncomfortable. They seem to delight in some of this, and it's grotesque. So if you put these things together, this sort of circle of crazy, that's how you attack somebody who comes at you about the ridiculousness of QAnon or the deep state or New World Order or Joe Biden or Obama. You come right at him. Well, where's the Epstein list? Trump partied with them. There were pictures. He's suppressing it. Pam Bondi said they had it. Donald Trump's a deep state. Donald Trump's a New World Order. Donald Trump's that guy. Is it true? I don't know. They think it is. That's how crazy our world is right now. It's chemtrails, the Epstein list, alien abductions, alien disclosure. J6 was a peaceful day. That's where we're at. So when you look at things in the past, like the Satanic Panic, when you look at what's happening today, there's always a history to it. You're like, well, Denver, yeah, I know. But why is it so much worse today? Because of what you're doing right now. You're watching me, social media. The ability to radicalize people through electrons. So what if we could de-radicalize people through electrons? It's not going to happen. So now you got to fight them. You have to be confrontational, one-on-one intellectually. And I'm not talking about fisticuffs. I'm talking about Marcus of Queensberry rules, right? I'm talking about actually going straight at them, one-on-one, eyeball to eyeball, and saying, you're nuts. But if you believe it, Trump's the one. That's it. You win. There's no way out. Because if they release the list, who's on it? If there is one. And if you go and actually parse through the files, why don't we? Why don't we just take an AI parser, go through and look at all the consistencies of the specific stuff that's already out there? It's already there. People already seen it. So if Trump does have multiple visits with the Epstein family, it's pretty freaking damning, isn't it? Regardless of the fact that there's any proof that he did anything, because there's never been any proof that anybody ever did anything anyway. Think about the Comer hearings on Hunter Biden, when a bunch of Russians provided stuff. Think about them going after Comey, right, and Brennan today. When John Durham already went through the whole mess, the Mueller report, which is right here, which I read, we can actually mix and compare that and actually go after people. And I know this is a fairly long one tonight. I know I'm at 16 minutes. Usually I try to do 10 minutes on the Denver After Darks, but you need to look at the connections. And it's not the crazy connections of conspiracy theories. It's a direct linear line from nutty to nutty. That's it. It's from razor blades and chocolate to the Epstein list. That's what it is, guys. Think about your Satanic Panic stories. I bet there's Gen X people in right now who are going to say, you know what? I remember my buddy said he was, Satanists were after him. I remember one night I thought there were Satanists outside my door. When I was a kid, I used to dream about Satanists chasing me because of the stories I heard from my religion. I was raised Mormon. I'm not afraid to say that. There's great Mormon people, but let me tell you, Satan was a daily occurrence in our lives. And at prom night, he certainly got to me. So those are the kind of things that we want to talk about, right? Did Satan get to you on prom night? I bet he did. I bet he did. So that's the thing that I want to talk about. And when I went into church the next day wearing my prom outfit, my tux, I felt a little bit guilty, Like Jesus is watching me right now and he knows what I did on prom night. Don't rent a Ford Taurus in 1988, folks. That's like a sex mobile. So as we're talking about all this, to get serious, I'm really worried about the state of our country. I'm really worried that we have somebody who would lie to us on such a frequent basis that it's actually the crazy eating your own tail conspiracy theories that could take out this administration. Think about what I just said there. The Epstein files, the Epstein list, Epstein himself. So was it MAGA that killed him in jail? Was it Trump's guys if he didn't commit suicide? That old chestnut of a conspiracy theory? If Epstein didn't kill himself, looks like the GOP did it. What? Yeah. Yeah, that's what it looks like to run-of-the-mill conspiracy theorist who right now is, doing a chant for an alien abduction, hoping they can get off the planet before the Epstein list is released because Trump's on it, right? So that's what's happening tonight. I was going to have somebody come on and tell their favorite Satanic Panic story. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try every Sunday night, like I told you guys last time, to have story night. And now that I know how to get on StreamYard because my producer is 10 times smarter than me, he knows how to actually get me on all these. And he's watching right now and probably snickering because he's like, yeah, Denver, I pretty much am. Is that we have this opportunity right now to attack with everything you got in a reality-based way at the non-reality and the conspiracy theories that are consuming our electorate. 80 to 90% of the people who voted for Trump think the election was stolen. It wasn't stolen in 2020 or 2024. Could be if you disenfranchise people in 28, and that's another thing I can go into, how you would actually steal an election from somebody who knows data. You have to do it beforehand. It's too convoluted afterwards. So my thoughts, my closing thoughts to all of you. You have to confront every single person who comes at you with this BS. You don't have a choice now. Nobody's coming to save us. Nobody's coming to save you. There's not going to be a me or somebody come to your front door and saying, hey, I know all about the satanic panic and why the Epstein files are bullshit. That ain't going to happen. You're going to have to say that. You're going to have to be the one that confronts your neighbors, your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, your friends. Are you ready? Because it's coming. Midterms are in 2026. It's going to be a slog. You better confront them now. But now you can go on the attack because they can't defend this. Bondi lied then, or she's lying now. Trump lied then, or he's lying now. And when he's in the Oval Office getting questioned and says nobody should care about Epstein, everybody should care about sexual predators. Everybody should care about children. Everybody should care about the people who've been abused and raped and trafficked. I think that's the number one thing. And what's so weird is QAnon with the hashtag Save Our Children is that real people like me, reality-based, actually do protect our children. Because when you're actually going down this rabbit hole of stupid, the real resources are going somewhere else, just like the satanic panic, repressed memories, alien abductions, alien disclosure, January 6, 9/11, flat earth, birds aren't real. I don't want to keep going all night on conspiracy theories, right? Because I could do it all night. Guys, thank you. Remember, always link what's going on in the past to today. That's what's happening. But remember, social media is a metastasizing agent. Use it to your benefit. Go after your friends who believe this nonsense. Ask them what they think now about the Epstein file and the Epstein list. Make sure you create some kind of rift in their mind where they can't get around the conspiracy theories anymore. Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming on Denver After Dark. I'll see you guys next Sunday night for story time. And we can talk about some other crazy story that links to today. Thank you guys very much. Have a good night. And I am now going to end the stream. And I don't know if my producer can do it.